Good afternoon, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. My name is Dina Troutman, and today's topic will be presented by Ashley Brown. We are your member relations specialists here at OKI 811. Today, Ashley will be presenting information about the types of locate requests and additional notifications you may receive as a member. But before we dive in, let's go over a few housekeeping items. The orange arrow on your screen is to expand or collapse the interface. All attendees are in listen-only mode. Click the screen icon to view the presentation in full screen. You may submit questions using the questions box shown here, and we will be responding to those questions throughout the webinar. There will also be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation if you want to hold your questions until then. And in the handout section, you'll see a ticket types handout document with helpful information from today's webinar. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ashley.
Thank you so much, Dina, and thank you to everyone for joining us today to learn more about the OKI 811 member locate request and additional notifications you may receive. Now, before we dive into the different ticket types, we'll take a brief look at the one-call process and the ways that tickets can be submitted. So as you can see, the one-call process is a team effort between the excavator, OKI 811 members, and OKI 811. Now, for the process to work, each entity needs to perform their responsibilities, and that begins with the excavator contacting OKI 811 before they dig. At that point, a locate request, also known as a ticket, is generated. Those tickets are sent to the member companies that are registered near the work site, and each member should respond to the locate request before the work is set to begin. You will see mentioned a few times throughout the webinar that positive response via the OKI 811 portal is mandatory by law. So in addition to marking your lines, if you have any lines near the work site, or clearing the area, each member company does need to be responding in the portal to every locate request. After that, the excavator will confirm that all member companies have responded before they proceed with excavation. Next, we'll look at the different ways that tickets can be submitted. We know that some of our member companies are also excavators. The first way is to simply call 811, which we are always here and available to take those locate requests. Or you can use one of our no hold time options, such as the mobile app or submitting your locate request online. You could submit those tickets 24/7. You're able to view and update locate request, and there's also mapping available so that you can pinpoint your dig site. Now that we've covered the one-call process, we'll take a look at the various locate requests that OKI 811 members may receive, and we're going to cover the purpose for each one. So let's dive in. First up is the emergency ticket type. Now, an emergency is an unavoidable situation that it has an endangerment to life, health, or property. If you ever need to call one in, please be sure that you are safe, and be sure to call 911 if there is a hazardous release. An emergency ticket type is an exception to the 48 hours notice, so be sure that if you're calling in an emergency ticket, that as an excavator, you are digging with care. Sometimes the endangerment to life, health, or property can not seem like an emergency at first glance, so we'll take a look at some of those different emergency types. One of the more obvious one would be if a utility line is down, such as water, gas, sewer, and even a telecom line being down could be considered an endangerment to life, health, or property, especially in today's world where telecom lines are tied into alarm systems and even health monitoring systems. But there are also some work types that are considered an endangerment to life, health, or property that may not seem like they're an emergency, such as a fence line. Usually that wouldn't be an emergency, but let's say it's a broken fence that happens to surround a daycare. That could most definitely pose an endangerment to life. We also have tickets that are called wildland fire notifications. Now, in this situation, there is a fire incident taking place in one of the counties of Oklahoma, and the local fire departments can contact OKI 811 to report that wildland fire. Then we use our ticket notification system to get that information out to the utilities that are registered in that area as quickly as possible, so the underground facilities in that area can be protected. Please note that whenever there's an emergency locate request that's called in by an excavator, we do ask the excavators to justify why the situation may be an endangerment to life, health, or property. And we also ask the excavator to give Okie 811 as much notice as possible so that the locators have time to complete their current tickets and get out to the site where the emergency is taking place. Next up is the most common ticket type that you'll probably receive, which is called a normal ticket. In this situation, the excavator is complying with the law. They are contacting Okie 811 before they begin work, and they're giving the required notice of no less than 48 hours, excluding the date of notification, weekends, and holidays, and no more than 10 business days before work is set to begin. We also have a non-compliant ticket. In this situation, the excavator is non-compliant with the law because they are wanting to work sooner than the 48 hours notice for a work type that is not an endangerment to life, health, or property. Even though they're giving less than the 48 hours notices, Okie 811 still processes these locate requests because we want to give the member companies the opportunity to go out and mark those areas before the excavation is set to begin, or at the very least contact the excavator and make arrangements to get those lines marked. We also have update tickets. Now with an update ticket, this is when a project is going to extend more than 10 business days from the work start date and time, and the excavator needs to update the tickets so that the markings can be refreshed and they can dig safely. With second and third notices, these are sent out when one or more members that are listed on a locate request have not responded to the ticket by the work to begin date and time. In this situation, the excavator has waited the required time and has not received a response from one or more than one of the member companies, so an additional notice is sent out. This is to help ensure that the area is marked or cleared before the work starts so that the facility and the public can be protected. We also process cancel tickets. With a cancel ticket, it just means that the work is no longer taking place. And so the excavator will contact Okie 811 before the work is set to begin and ask for the locate request to be canceled. Sometimes Okie 811 members do receive correction tickets. Now with the correction ticket, the excavator is providing non-scope of work changing information. For example, let's say someone submitted a locate request, but they need to submit a correction ticket because they forgot to give a gate code, or maybe they need to correct their email address or provide information for meeting arrangements. One of the more rare ticket types that you may receive is called a demolition ticket. Now, demolition projects actually require two notices. The first notice is not an actual locate request. It's given no less than 7 business days before the structure is to be demolished. This gives the utility owners enough time to go out to the work site and disconnect any utility lines they may have from the structure. Then 48 hours, excluding the date of notification, the excavator puts in a second ticket, which is the actual locate request, and locators will need to go out and mark any lines that are near that work site. Now let's take a look at some of the additional notifications that Okie 811 members may receive. First up is the broadcast message. This is a method used to communicate significant information such as important events, campaigns, or changes that may affect Okie 811 members. These messages are transmitted using the same ticket notification system. Therefore, they're sent to your outputs, which is the same location where you receive your locate requests. We also have audit reports. These are a daily resource that's included in your membership. It's generated every morning shortly after midnight and lists all of the locate requests and damage report tickets you should have received the previous day. You should compare the tickets that you've received to your audit report to ensure that you have received all of your tickets and damage reports. If you ever need to have a ticket resubmitted, feel free to use the queue feature of the Okie 811 portal, or you can contact member services to resend that missing ticket. As previously mentioned, Okie 811 does process damage reports. In these situations, someone has just noticed broken utility equipment in the state of Oklahoma and they notify Okie 811. This can be anything from downed power lines to broken pedestals or even a busted fire hydrant. So once they contact Okie 811, we use the ticket notification system to give that information to all of the companies that are registered in the area, so that everyone can go out and make sure that their utility equipment is okay. And we want to reiterate that positive response via the Okie 811 portal is mandatory by law. Members should be responding to every locate request by marking or clearing the lines and then positively responding via the Okie 811 portal. The response that you enter into the portal should indicate what happened or what was done for that locate request. So for example, if you receive a ticket and your locator goes out and marks lines in that area, when they log into the Okie 811 portal and submit the positive response for that ticket, they would choose Site Marked. As a special note, if an excavator does not see a response from all of the members listed on the ticket by the work date and time, the excavator should be contacting Okie 811 to request a second or third notice. Before we move on to see if anyone has any questions, let's cover a few important highlights. First is that all owners and operators of underground lines are required by law to register with Okie 811, also known as the Oklahoma One Call System. Okie 811 members may receive a variety of ticket types and additional notifications, and members should be responding to each locate request by marking or clearing the area and responding via the Okie 811 portal. For more information about ticket types and positive response, please feel free to view the handout that's available in this webinar, or you can visit our website, okie811.org. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to turn this over to Dina to see if we had any questions. Dina?
Thank you, Ashley. And we did have one really good question. We had a question that if somebody has already responded to the excavator directly, do they need to then go to the portal and put that response in the portal? And yes, you do still need to put that response in the portal. And if you've already, or if you're putting your responses in the portal, it's not necessary for you to reach out to the excavator or send them emails unless that is just something that you would like to do. It is their responsibility to check that locate request for those responses now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dina.
You're welcome. And that was all the questions that we had. And please remember that your Okie 811 team is here for you, and feel free to contact us. You can always reach member services at memberservices@okie811.org. If you have any questions about mapping or the service area editor, you can contact the GIS team at gis@okie811.org. And then last but certainly not least, to register for any future webinars or watch a recorded webinar, go to okie811.org/education events. If you think of any questions or have suggestions for future webinar topics, contact our Education and Outreach Department at education@okie811.org. And there will be a survey at the end, and you can please provide feedback. And if you have any questions regarding your membership, you can always contact us at memberservices@okie811.org. And it does look like we have one additional question. How do you utilize the positive response system when you have multiple departments that get the locates? So for that, I will go ahead and let Ashley take that one.
Okay, not a problem. That's a really great question. So it's going to depend on how your positive response configuration is set up. So let's say you have multiple departments, and that includes like water, sewer, and gas. If you're positive or if each one of those facility types has their own configuration on your dispatch code, then when you go to respond in the portal, you'll see that ticket number replicated 3 times, one for each facility type. And with that, the person that's logging their responses, they can either respond for their own department, or if you have one person that answers for multiple departments, they can provide the appropriate response for each one of those. If you have more questions on that, or if you're interested in how your dispatch is set up and you want to know more about utilizing the portal in different ways for that situation, please feel free to contact Member Services. You can give us a call or email us at memberservices@okie811.org, and we'd be more than happy to go over your dispatch information and take a look at that with you. Thank you.
And that is all that we have for you today. If you have any questions, please give us a call or an email, and everybody stay safe and thank you for your time.